Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to continue talking about the presidential dollar series. There's a lot of things about this series that I think people take for granted. It's a really great one that you can collect, and they're easy to come across. There's also some really good errors on these coins, so let's talk about the 2008 presidential dollar coins. There are 4 new ones that came out that year, and they are to celebrate James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, and Martin Van Buren. So each one of them had the same reverse as like every other presidential dollar. So the reverse is the Statue of Liberty, and then the obverses, of course, would feature the presidential portraits. So the first one was for James Monroe. He was the 5th president from 1817 to 1825. The presidential dollar series kept getting less and less mintage, so Philadelphia had a little over 64 million of them made, and Denver made over 60 million. The errors that you can look for, though, can make these really, really valuable coins, one of which is missing edge lettering, which was an error that kind of went across the entire series. There were some James Monroe dollar coins that were found without the standard edge inscriptions, which are normally E Pluribus Unum and In God We Trust, as well as the year and the mint mark. So these errors become really, really rare, especially in good conditions, and can fetch anywhere from between about 50 or 60 bucks in upwards of $250 or $300. A historical sales example of a missing edge lettering coin would be an MS-66 one that sold for $225 through Heritage only a couple years ago. The second one to be released was the John Quincy Adams coin, the 6th president from 1825 to 1829. Out of Philadelphia was even less of an amount, 57.5 million, and Denver minted 57.7 million, so just a hair more. The John Quincy Adams coins are, of course, going to honor him, the son of John Adams, who we talked about in the last video, and the obverse is his portrait. The errors that are known on this, though, are really, really valuable. Those are double edge lettering errors, which exhibit doubled inscriptions on the edge. These can be in upwards of $400 or $500 in value. There's also upside down edge lettering, which is not considered an error per se, but some coins that have the lettering upside down are really sought after by collectors, some of which have been seen selling for close to $100. An MS-67 example with a double edge sold for over $200 through Great Collections in 2021. The third coin on the list is the Andrew Jackson presidential dollar, who was the 7th president from 1829 to 1837. Out of Philadelphia, there's 61 million of them minted. Denver minted a lower amount at 58.4 million. Although Andrew Jackson is quite a controversial president for various reasons, there are errors on these coins that can make them really valuable, despite the normal presidential dollar featuring Andrew Jackson being really one of the least valuable in this series in normal circumstances. Those are missing edge lettering, as discussed before, where it's missing the inscriptions on the edge, and this lack of inscriptions can make these worth between $50 and $100. The blank planchet error is really, really rare, but some Jackson dollars were found missing either the obverse or reverse designs, or both, and somehow getting out into circulation that way, primarily in rolls of them. So you're really not going to find these loose, of course, as they're really, really obvious, but these can sell in upwards of $300-400 in some cases, depending on condition of the blank planchet error. There was a missing edge lettering error that sold for well over 150 bucks through PCGS at MS-65. The last one on the list is the Martin Van Buren presidential dollar, who was the 8th president of the United States from 1837 to 1841. They minted an abysmal amount of them comparatively, at 50 million of them minted out of both mints, basically. There was 50.9 million out of Philadelphia, 50.2 out of Denver. Now, these coins follow the same pattern and have the presidential portrait on the front of them, and on the reverse have the Statue of Liberty. The errors that are known on these, though, is an interesting one, which is a struck through grease error. So some of the coins have a weak or missing detail to pretty much the whole coin. This is due to grease interfering with the die striking process. So depending on the severity of the error, these can sell in upwards of $500 or $600. Usually they're minor though, and sell for between $50 and $100. There is also an extreme version of an error called a feeder strike, graded MS65 through NGC, of a Martin Van Buren presidential dollar. This coin sold through Stack's Bowers in 2017 for $5,980. All the coins were made from a manganese brass alloy, which gave it that gold-like appearance in which a lot of collectors really like. However, these coins were unpopular because in circulation their size and weight was just really heavy, and people just still prefer paper dollars. So even though they had that really cool gold-like appearance, it just didn't really appeal enough to collectors to make them a viable bank option, but more of a just straight collector option. Record sales prices for these are well into the hundreds, some in the thousands depending on the grades, but most of the coins sell in the couple $100 region if they're really, really good condition. In conclusion, I think the 2008 presidential dollars are very much so worth collecting, but let me know what you think in the comments about not only the 2008 coins, but also the series in general. I'll talk to you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.